Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Michael's Backyard Marina. We're starting this episode off on the road. I've got made a deal with a person on a boat. Surprise, surprise, right? But you know, when I'm perusing Facebook Marketplace, I have a tough time passing up a ridiculously good deal. Well, this one, you know, I'm a sucker for 120 horse, 130 horse Mercruiser. Well, that's what this has got in it. It's a 1980, I believe. I'm trying to remember what the ad said now. Yeah, it's advertised as a 1980 StarCraft. No paperwork for the trailer or the boat. That's fine. It could be just a parts boat. It could be a runner. It's a fiberglass V-hull with a, like I said, 120 horse Mercruiser. I think it's going to be looks pretty decent from the pictures. Looks like it's been, you know, kept. I don't know how covered it's been, so that'll be the testament of time. So a 1980, you know, we're talking 43-year-old boat here. How solid will the floors be? That's going to be the true test, you know. The gel coat on the outside in the pictures, tough to see in the pictures, looks pretty good. It's red and white, and let's be honest, why did I pick it up? Well, it was $250, and it was a red boat, and it had the engine in I like, and it had an outdrive hanging off of it that hasn't been removed. I get so many of these other boats, you know, that we've run across that have had the outdrive pulled off of it, and most people, once they pull that outdrive off, they get over their head way too quick. And I know it can be a little scary, but these engines are very simple. I picked up another boat last weekend, and why did I get it? Well, my wife found it. I've been telling her I want a green boat from the 70s, and she found one, and we went and grabbed it. And so there's a 1977 Four Winds. Maybe I'll give you a quick walk around on that one in this video as well. But I just had to, it was green, and I wanted something more like the Banana, a little mini tri-hull from the early 70s, but in green, and I would fully restore that. But, you know, it's one of those things. This one's an older, it's only like a 15 foot, I think, the green one is. And looks like it's got 120 horse. Looks very clean on the inside and out. But somebody had taken the intake manifold off because it had a crack in it, carburetor's off. That one's gonna be a little exercise in getting it back together, I think. But, as you guys have been following me for a while, last summer I picked up 3 boats. And I took 3 boats to the junkyard. And I pulled the engines out, and I got 2 of the 3 I got running. The only one I didn't get running yet was a 3-liter. That was in the Bayliner. I just pulled that out. I wasn't going to get it running in the boat. I just pulled it out, and we've gotten rid of all those boats at this point. Kept the trailers. Obviously, one of the trailers from the Bayliner is going underneath it good enough if you've been following it. Going to be my test boat. But yeah, we're going to see what this 1980 StarCraft's all about. And I've been a fan of StarCraft. I don't know why. I think it's one of those things, you know, when you get your first car, you're always a fan of that first car, unless your first car was just a giant piece of junk, you know, and that happens. But you always have your favorite, right? And my first boat, big boat I've ever owned, and it was a 1976 StarCraft. It's been in many of my videos, and we're going to be doing some more work to it this summer. We partnered up with SCI Marine, and we're going to be putting some SCI Marine products on the old StarCraft. I mean, we're going to bring it right back up to like brand new status, so to speak. But yeah, that was a StarCraft, 18 foot, 120 horse Mercruiser, right? And I like the old Mercruisers. I call them the old Iron Dukes. They're a heavy motor, but they're virtually impossible to destroy. They're just one of those engineered engines that just will produce power, maintain compression, don't seem to wear out very easily, and they're just strong runners. So that got me hooked on Mercruisers, and that was my introduction to StarCraft. And now I have what do I have? This will be the third StarCraft. I have 2 other aluminum StarCraft boats, and yeah, I'll get the Cobalt and all the stuff you've been following me on. We're gonna have a great summer, folks, and we're starting it off with a couple of new purchases. And there again, typically I don't pay over $300 for a boat, and you get what you get. You can usually get the value out of those with just 10 parts. Let's say that. You can't get too hurt. On this particular one, I'm gonna run you guys through a lot of stuff. This video is gonna probably take me 2 to 3 months to complete. And that's why I'm giving you a decent introduction here. I'm going 170 some miles away from home to pick this one up. It just happened to be that far away. But I think it'll be worth it. And we don't have any paperwork for the trailer, no paperwork on the boat. I'm gonna have them sign me a bill of sale. I'm going to go through the steps that I have to go through to get actual documentation so I can put this on the water. That's why it's going to take us a while. Just the work alone is going to take something, but just to get legal paperwork is going to take a minute to get that all taken care of. So we'll join back up here when I get the boat transaction happening, because we're going to have to do possibly some work on the axles or the bearings. I am going to, pick it up at the location I'm picking it up. I'm going to take it to an area that's a little bit further away from where I pick it up, but we're going to jack the axle up, check those wheel bearings to make sure those wheel bearings are going to make it home, because I got a lot of highway, a lot of 2-lane, which isn't bad, but I'm going to be running a lot of interstate too on the way back home, and we don't want that wheel bearings burning up. The other thing we're going to look closely at is the tires. If the tires look a little sketchy, we're just going to take it easy on back home. Maybe we'll avoid interstates to get home, just so we don't, if we blow a tire, I don't want to put anybody else in jeopardy when we blow a tire. Blowing a tire at 55 miles an hour on a little trailer like that, pretty manageable overall, but I just don't want to impact anybody else's lives. So safety first. All right, we'll check back in when we are walking around the boat, give you a quick tour of it, and we'll walk you through some of the things I'm going to do. I've got all the equipment in the back of the old Jeep here to do any repairs I need to do, and if I don't have the stuff, I'm sure there's a store nearby, but these towns I'm going through right now, not a lot going on. There's a True Value I just passed, and I've got about 18 more miles to go to get there, so at least I know there's a hardware store on the way back home that I might be able to get something. But I got grease, I got PB blaster, I got my impact wrenches, I got my sockets. Did not bring my coveralls. I'm in shorts today, and it's only 30 degrees out, snow on the ground, but that's okay. I can tough it out for a little while. We'll be back in a minute. Now this boat I paid $250 for, so you can't expect a whole lot, right? And I'm glad I didn't pay a dime more than that. But we got it right here. This is what it looks like. She's not cherry, she's not primo. I finally found a spot. I've probably gone about 20, 30 miles right now, maybe 40 miles back towards home. I did check these wheel hubs. I went about down the highway, about 10 miles, pulled over, checked it. They were absolutely cold. What that tells you is there's enough grease and there's not enough wear and tear in there to create a bunch of heat. It's a good chance you can make it home. Now, if you're feeling a lot of heat in there, your bearings are going to be shot. Now, I'm still I would still obviously pull and repack these bearings at some time in the future. This thing has had a rough life. Look at this down here. Look at the damage. Bam, bam. That thing's kissed a bunch of rocks. Look at that prop. That prop is just cheesed bad. But one thing I noticed, and we haven't drained the oil yet, but watch this center when I spin it. When you spin that around, that center is staying, it's not wobbling. That means that output shaft is straight. Even though it's taking a couple of bangos here, it's straight. It's got the hydrofoil on her, the 2-piece version. This trailer is designed for something a little different than what's on it. It had the big deep cut in the middle there, like it's supposed to have, one of those center console engine drive, you know what I'm talking about, like Skinetique or something like that. But the tires were down to like 25 pounds. I put my JF Egro pump on it. We pumped them up to 50. They are a little weather checked, but they're holding. They're holding. So that, I think it's going to get me home just fine. The trailer does not pull fantastic. Just standing back here, you can see the balance of things. You got to keep in mind that engine and that outdrive weighs a lot. That's hanging back there past center of the axle. It just, maybe with a full tank of gas and some gear up front underneath the nose, she'd probably pull a little bit better. She doesn't do bad, don't get me wrong, it's not awful, but the trailer lighting does not work. So I risk it. I hated to do it because I forgot and left my doggone lights at home. I left my lights at home, my magnetic ones. So I had to, I'm taking back roads till I got over here to a Harbor Freight, and I bought me another set of magnetic tail lights. And now when I say magnetic, don't trust just the magnets. Put them on there with the magnets, zip tie them onto your trailer, because those magnets work good if you're sticking them on like the back of a car or something that rides smooth. These trailers do not ride smooth. But take a look at the inside here. Now keep in mind, this is 1980, hasn't been well cared for. Well, we do have a key, that's good. And we have all kinds of gauges and RPMs over there. We got a controls over there to the right. It had a radio in it at some time. Somebody, you know, looks like a beaver chewed that hole in there. That's terrible looking. Gas tank slid down a little bit. Big doggone Mirrorless gas tank. Nice thing is it's been underneath there its whole life, so it may not be rusted out. And this is what I don't mind about this so far, is you see how this whole back seat area is? We're gonna lift this up. It's all on a hinge. Oh, and it's heavy as, oh, get out too. Sorry if the camera's a little shaky. I'm just gonna lay it back there a little bit. Now we get a good look at this engine. Now there's another prop in here, and it looks like this is all complete. It's all here. Somebody used a zip tie to hold the spark arrestor on. That's amazing. It had water back here. It's got a lot of ice and stuff in here. I'm gonna guess the foam under here is saturated. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill some holes, some hole saw holes in here, and I'm gonna check the foam underneath this here, because if the foam is completely saturated, the flotation foam is completely saturated, then this boat's gonna weigh a lot. I'm gonna pull this across the scale on my way home just to see what it weighs. Let's go around to the other side. So I kind of like the way this flips back because it exposes the entire engine, makes it completely accessible, which is what I really, really like. Look at that. Look at that. I'm gonna show you right here. That number 4 spark plug isn't even under a cover. It's like, I got some boats where the, you know, up to the coil here is covered up, but this is pretty sweet. Now, the guy said he put a brand new starter on it, and by golly, that looks like a brand new starter. Not sure if it's a marine grade starter, but it's there. It looks like a very small diameter something or another starter. He said the trim pump pumped when he the wires are broke off, but when we held it up there, it worked. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever you say, buddy. That head looks different. The rest of the engine's black and that head is silver. I wonder if that head's been replaced at some time in the past. Kind of looks like it. Fram oil filter, awesome. That's not good, but it is what it is. Don't know if it's been winterized properly. Don't see any obvious cracks right now. One of the places you typically would see a crack would be right here. If somebody did not drain or winterize the exhaust manifold, intake exhaust manifold, didn't drain that, they like to split down there, and right behind them is where you'd see a crack block typically, but I don't see anything crazy alarming so far. And here again, folks, I got this thing, you know, if the engine for parts and pieces is there, I've got my money's worth. Anything else beyond that is bonus time. But if this foam floor isn't soaked up, this one might be a fun one just to get on the water and just see what this Looks like it's about a 15-footer. Now, get you back up here and get you a couple of views of something else that looks a little funky here. And maybe it's an optical contusion. Now, it does have a hinge. It's a hinge tiltable trailer. The fender's obviously been whammoed back, but maybe it's just the way that fender looks. It makes it look like the frame's bent a little bit, but I think the frame's okay. One thing I can see though out of my rear view mirror, let me see if I can get a visual of it from behind. Well, that'll tell a story for us. That, it's kind of cold out. Well, that's not bad. This rear wheel, maybe it's just the way the fender, this rear left driver's side wheel looks like it's kind of like a little bit. But that's one of those things I could easily take the axle off with the wheels off and set it on my sawhorses. I can check it for straight pretty quick. But as you can see, these tail lights do not work. Nope, no sir, no how. And so I got my magnetic lights. We're gonna get them put on and we'll check right back in as soon as I get them fastened down. All right, we got the lights all zip tied on. As you can see here, you know, don't spare your expenses when it comes to zip tying your wiring down to the trailer. You don't want this stuff whipping around and next thing you know you cut your wires in half because they're rubbing. Here I've taken, if you can see it here, I've crisscrossed some zip ties around the frame to get those, you know, so this thing here, the magnet's holding it down, but this is gonna keep it from bouncing off. I've had that happen already on another set and it doesn't do them a lot of favors when those things bounce off. So as you can see here, I got the right turn signal on. I tested the left, brake lights work. It's all good to go. Awesome. Now I think we can safely get this thing the rest of the way home. People can see what's going on behind me. I got my bill of sale in case Johnny Law wants to pull me over for not having a plate. But we're about 45 minutes into this trip on the way home. We got about 2 hours to go. I think it'll make it home at this point. All the ratchet straps are secure. Everything's tight and doing what it's supposed to do. We'll check in when we get back to the house. Right now we're in Clinton. And for some reason, when I got out to go to the Harbor Freight, now the Harbor Freight here in Clinton, I mean, don't get me wrong, Clinton seems like a pretty nice town, got a lot of modern amenities, obviously. It's a river town here in Iowa, but there's a smell that I can't understand. And maybe it's coming from, see all that steam and stuff? Looks like some kind of factory, something or another. Maybe it's grain or something. But my God, it smells like a dumpster full of baby diapers caught on fire. It is horrible. I was gonna get something to eat, but whew, kind of lost my appetite there a minute. Don't get me wrong, we're gonna eat something, but all right, let's get on the road here and get us the rest of the way home. Well, we made it home. Wasn't one of the easiest rescues. Definitely wasn't one of the hardest rescues, obviously, because I didn't have to do anything wheel bearing wise. I checked them wheel bearings every hour for over the course of 3 hours driving home. They were icy cold, not getting warmed up at all. Doesn't mean everything's perfect in there. Like I said, those bearings are gonna need to be repacked. Well, another thing I ran into that was very painful to deal with was this thing is so ill balanced. This axle, like I showed you in the one parking lot, this axle, you know, it needs to be back another 18 inches easy. Right now, I'm gonna show you how much tongue weight this has. Watch this. I'm gonna take my one hand and I'm gonna pick, look at that. It's just barely, I can do that one finger. Now I understand I'm parked on a little bit of a hill here, But I need at least 100 pounds of tongue weight, if not more, ideally. What it was doing, because of the way it's balanced, and that's the kicker, you can have a perfectly built trailer, but if it's not balanced and loaded properly, you can make it pull like absolute crap. What we've got here is that needs to go back another 18 inches, if not 2 feet, to develop at least 100 to 125 pounds of tongue weight on this boat. Now, yes, gas tanks up front, 20-gallon tank. Call it 160 pounds full, maybe, not quite, but that's not that much weight up here. It is in front of the axle. It would help some, but you can't rely on it always being there, because you could have a quarter tank, eighth tank, you know, empty tank. But so what would happen is I could go up to 70 miles an hour with this thing. But then when I got on the interstate, because I got my lights on, that made me feel a whole lot safer. People could see what's going on. But I got to getting buffeting from the semis. And once it started buffeting and the wind current was coming around and hitting it, it'd make this thing fishtail. And there was a few times I had to slow back down. So I ended up locking it in about 60 miles an hour. And even at 60 miles an hour, depending on who was passing me, the wind and the shape of the road, this thing still wanted to get a little squirrely. But we made it home safe and sound, which is the good news. Yep, it's already got a cover on it. I tell you guys, I cover my boats. Even though this may turn out to be a total piece of garbage inside here. This may be the floors rotted out, the foam down in the floorboard is soaked up with water, and you'd have to gut the whole thing to get that out and re-pour foam. It may be that way, but I don't know yet, so I cover it. We got more weather coming. I don't want it to sit there and soak in the rain and the snow and anything else we got coming up this spring, early spring here. This way, these things will breathe a little bit. It'll let some of that moisture get on out, keep draining. I parked on the hill on purpose so it can keep draining. And we're gonna get back to this one. So thank you guys for joining along. I know this video isn't a crazy long video. It might not be a crazy exciting video, but the history behind this boat is the guy that I bought it from. He got it from another buddy of his that came with a piece of property that he had. And his buddy, this guy I got it from, said, I'll take it, I'll probably work on it, I'll see if I can get her going. He didn't get her going. He said it would turn over, but it wouldn't idle or do anything, so I'm guessing it doesn't run. Let's just say it doesn't run. This thing was last registered. Where is this? Is there a sticker? Oh, 2015? So 2015, it's been sitting for at least 8 years unregistered, out of date. Could have been before that, because I don't know how Illinois does it. I know in Iowa, they give you a 3-year, every time you get a sticker, it's good for 3 years. So this could have been sitting, if this was a 3-year thing in Illinois, it could have been the beginning of the 3 years. It could have been at the very end of the 3 years. At the very least, it's been sitting 8 years for sure. But if that engine's not locked up and that engine will make a little bit of compression for me, I will make it run. What else we got? But yeah, so the guy decided he wasn't gonna do anything with it, had it on Marketplace for 500 bucks, marked it down to 450. I shot him over a message that says, hey, 250, I'm your guy. The day later, 24 hours later, he goes, I'll do it. I'm like, okay. So the communication wasn't fantastic back and forth. It was very sluggish at best, I would say, but we got the job done. I had to drive basically almost 3 hours one way to get it. So I got 6 hours of travel time and getting it here. We'll see what this one turns into. There again, this is content for you guys. This is stuff I can work on. This is the stuff I enjoy doing. I want to get that engine running, and once it's running, I'll decide what I want to do with it. This thing, I didn't even touch the transom yet. Transom feels pretty solid. Not a lot of, it hasn't delaminated. So, and if I jump on it, I can't jump on it. What am I thinking? I can't jump on it. I got no tongue weight. I was gonna bounce on the rear end a little bit, but we'll check that out. That's to come later, right? But we got her home, safe and sound. The other thing that helped me out a little bit, this winch wasn't holding very tight, so I put one of my Strapino ratchet straps around it here and just pulled this thing tight down against the trailer. Eliminated the flex. And that also helped with the bucking, even though Not much is going to help with it bucking when it doesn't have any tongue weight at all. But it did improve the situation a little bit. All right, what else can I tell you? I think that's about it. There's, you know, for $250, there's a lot of good here. Just the engine parts alone. If it's got a good alternator on it, there's your money. If it's got a good, you know, the spinny thing in there, you know what I'm talking about, the distributor, yeah. It's got a rebuildable carburetor. There's lots of good stuff on here if you didn't keep the boat. The trailer itself, honestly, you move that axle, because this has got one of those axles that are bolted to the frame, so you can easily move it back and put it wherever you want. So this trailer by itself is worth 250 bucks. What I'm saying is that it couldn't get hurt. Actually, the trailer tongue jack, other than the handle being broke off, it's actually a pretty nice tongue jack. Those are going for anywhere from $39 to $89 now. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate you tuning in when I drop videos and leaving the comments and the thumbs up, and just appreciate all the things you guys do for me by watching. You don't have to do much but thumbs up and watch, and that helps out the channel a tremendous amount. And this is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. We'll see what this one's got under the hood. Coming up, I gotta get the Good Enough John boat done. So it's ready to go this spring. I'm getting ready to jump back on that right after I close this video out. I'm probably gonna go do that video next, and you'll probably see that video before this video, and just got lots of things coming at all angles, guys. I'm a one-man band trying to do the best I can. But this is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. We'll see you on the next video. Be kind to each other. And for goodness gracious sakes, stay as healthy as you can. Because, you know, being sick ain't no fun at all. All right, let's do something else now.